Hey, what's up? Todd here. And today's question I really like because it is simple, to the point, but it encapsulates a ton about game, actually a ton about success in life. So here it is. What do you do when you've acted low value in a relationship? Very simple, very to the point. And I'm going to address this two different ways. One is in general, what if you have been low value over a period of time or in the past as a history in the relationship? And secondly is what if you just did a one-off low value thing in the relationship? But in both cases, the first point I want to make is a point that's not even about game, it's about life in general, which is this. You are in any given moment right where you are. You're not where you are relative to the past, relative to the foreseeable future or the perceived future or your hopes about the future. You are in any given moment right in this moment. And that is the perspective that should dictate your actions, because all you can act on at any given time is this moment. So if you are concerned about the past, or you're concerned about getting something back that you've lost, or if you're concerned about the future, trying to aim towards something that doesn't exist yet, you're going to only just clutter things, you're going to make missteps, etc. So what do I mean? Well, let's look at the situation where you've been kind of low value for a period in the relationship. So typically what that means is you got into the relationship by being relatively high value, at least high value enough. How do I know that? Because you got into the relationship. So at some point, you were high value enough that the girl's attraction to you was greater than her attraction to some random guy, right? It was attractive enough that she chose you as someone to sleep with, someone to commit her time and energy and resources to. So at some point, you were high value enough. And then what happens, for whatever reason, guys get lazy, guys, lose their edge, guys start getting needy, different things like that. Maybe you've acted low value for a period. Okay, well, if you compare yourself now to where you were before you started acting low value, and you start to think that you have to get back to that immediately, or you start thinking like, oh, if I hadn't messed it up, etc. As soon as you're thinking that, you're in trouble. The only thing you can do is to be high value in this moment. That's it. All you can do is, from where you're at this moment in the relationship, what is the next best step? And then from there, what is the next best step? And then what is the next best step? So all you can do is, the relationship is as it is right now. It's not where it is relative to somewhere else, okay? So don't start trying to rehash the past. Don't start trying to make up for a million different things. Just accept that if you are in the relationship, it hasn't gotten so bad that it's over. Okay, regardless of whatever behavior you've had so far, it hasn't gotten bad enough to end the relationship. So you're still in with a fighting chance. From there, all you need to do is start establishing a positive trend. Because someone's perception of you, whether it be a woman, a boss, a friend, whatever, someone's perception of you is basically the weighted average of your behaviors. So they're looking at the entire trend of your behavior since you've known them, but they're weighting it very strongly towards the present. So your more recent actions are your more powerful actions. So yes, you have at this point, if you've been kind of low value, a history of not being the absolute most high value. You also have a history of being high value enough or good enough to have gotten into that relationship in the first place. So given that the relationship isn't over, you're at least not at a failing level. If you start adding samples of your personality as a high value person from here on, as the type of person you would like to be, as the type of person you are when you're being your best, well, that's going to affect that weighted average. And it's going to affect it relatively quickly. It's not instantaneous because there's a big body of evidence of you previously, but it's going to affect it fairly quickly because it is weighted towards recent. So if your recent activity, your recent history, how you've been lately is very, very good, that will start to overtake and swamp the impression of your previous impression over time. And the big thing to remember is this: as long as the relationship still exists, you're still in a winning position. So rather than being like, oh, if only it was like how it had been before, if only I hadn't messed up and lost value. No, realize even if you have, you're still in a position where your value is sufficient. Yes, you can add to it. Yes, you can grow it. Yes, you can make the relationship better. But as long as you're in that relationship, you're in a winning and good position, and lamenting or thinking or trying to get it back is problematic, right? People definitely get into these scenarios where, like, if they've made a mistake, they try and cover that mistake or make up for that mistake, and they start doing other low value behaviors in reaction to prior behavior. So forget about that. Forget about any thoughts like that and just live where you are right now. Now, slightly different advice, almost the same advice, but slightly different if you've happened to do a low value thing recently. First, remember that as long as you're still in the relationship, that low value thing wasn't the end of the world, right? It wasn't a cataclysm, the relationship isn't over, and your net value is still high enough. So don't bug out too much. That said, if you do want to recover from your mistakes, understand that it is okay to admit a mistake. It's okay to admit a mistake. However, is a great phrase from Zig Ziglar. It says, failure is an event, not a person. A mistake or a low value behavior is an event and not a person. Specifically, it's not you. Okay? So just because you did a low value thing doesn't make you a low value person. And if you truly messed up or you truly did something out of character, it's okay to acknowledge it and it's okay to apologize. But you don't want to apologize as though you are now a loser or as though you are fundamentally like a bad person because of it. You can be like, hey, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. It was out of character. I'll do better next time. And that acknowledgement is a great way of, first of all, adding a high value behavior. The ability to admit you made a mistake without having it seem to hit your self-esteem, without having it like ruin you as a human being, without like putting too much importance on it and making it a big deal. That is a very positive characteristic. But the other thing it does is it sort of like takes away some of the sting of that past characteristic. Because as someone's judging your actions, if you did this one bad thing and they're worried, oh, maybe that's who he is now, or maybe he's going to do more of that, the fact that you acknowledge it, the fact that you are indicating you're past it, will say that that's probably not going to happen anymore. However, that brief apology, again, apology without, I call it apologizing without apologizing, but apologizing without like undermining yourself, apologizing without like being wrong as a human being, so to speak, right? So that apology, that in and of itself is not the most important thing. Because again, you are already okay. Even without that apology, even without sort of like redressing the record and making the record reflect more properly. Even without that, if you were still in the relationship, you were already good. And the most important thing you can do is do the right thing from here, right? Whatever moment you're in any relationship, the most important thing you can do is what is the right thing from this moment and going forward. Lamenting the past isn't generally going to help. That said, a quick apology can help to set the record straight and can help to make that action seem more of the distant past and less like the trend for the future, so it can weight the perception a little bit in your favor. But the most important thing again is not to get carried up in the past, not to get carried away or caught up in the past, right? So many people, what they do is they make one little mistake, and then because they're obsessed about that mistake and trying to make up for it, they do some other like needy, desperate thing, and then some other low value thing, and they let it be this quicksand, all right? The easiest thing to do is cut it, right? That is in the past. So do the best you can now and get rid of any negative effects the past might have on your behavior. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. It's actually not just a lesson for a game, it's a lesson for life. So many times in life, the first mistake you make in a situation isn't that big of a deal. But once you start dictating all your future actions based on that mistake, that's when you get yourself in trouble. So that's actually good life advice as well as just game advice. I hope you liked it. If you did like it and you want your questions answered, ask them on the channel because that's where I get a lot of them. And tune in next time, and I'll see you soon. Take care.